He hands her a list. Only 2 names are on it. Hers and her current husband's. You think you left the past behind? Amelia, your husband knew. He always knew. You think Liam stayed quiet for nothing? You have no idea what he protected you from. But before we start the video, let us know where you're watching this video, and if you like this story, don't forget to subscribe Story Store, and please share your thoughts about this story in comment section. A storm crashed through the city. Amelia's hands trembled as she stepped out of the courthouse, clutching her umbrella like it was the last fragile piece of her perfect world. Rain hammered the pavement in a rhythm that felt almost accusatory. Her tailored coat clung to her frame as gusts of wind sliced through the air. She had everything now: wealth, respect, a senator for a husband. The past was dead and buried, or so she thought. Then she saw him. Across the street, a figure stood motionless in the downpour, head tilted slightly as if studying a ghost. Her breath caught his face, his eyes. Liam. The man she once loved, the man she left for dead, the man who went to jail for a murder she committed. Her legs buckled. Her heels slipped against wet stone as she stumbled backward. The umbrella slipped from her fingers, flipping into the wind and tumbling down the street like some panicked bird. Liam moved. He stepped off the curb, walking straight through traffic without hesitation. Cars swerved, horns screamed, but he didn't flinch. His clothes were soaked through, clinging to a frame that was harder, leaner than before. But it was his eyes, calm, hollow, unwavering, that froze her in place. He stopped inches from her. Water dripped from his jaw. Neither of them spoke. The world narrowed to this one impossible moment. And then, with a voice that hadn't changed in 20 years, he whispered, "I didn't tell them your name, not once." He stared at her a beat longer, as if memorizing the guilt on her face, then turned and walked away. Amelia stood there, paralyzed. The storm didn't stop. Neither did her heart, pounding, splintering. The past wasn't dead, it had just come home. Amelia tried to move on. She smiled for cameras, hosted charity dinners, clinked glasses with people who called her an inspiration. But Liam's voice haunted her. "I didn't tell them your name, not once." Those words echoed in every silence. The woman the world knew, senator's wife, philanthropist, elegant socialite, was a mask. Beneath it lived the girl who once ran from a body, a gun still warm in her trembling hands. She couldn't sleep. Every time her eyes closed, she saw flashes, blood pooling on linoleum, screams echoing down narrow hallways. Liam grabbing her wrist and yelling, "Go!" She had buried it all so well, or thought she had. Desperate for grounding, she drove through the rain to the last person who knew her real story. Jasmine, her best friend, her secret keeper. But Jasmine's house was abandoned. A layer of dust coated the porch swing. The front door creaked open. Inside, the silence felt heavier than the storm outside. No furniture, no photos except one. A broken picture frame lay face down on the floor. She picked it up with shaking hands. It was a photo of the 3 of them, herself, Jasmine, and Liam. Young, messy, alive. On the back, in Jasmine's handwriting, "You owe him everything." Amelia stood there, frozen. The past wasn't done clawing its way out, and it had just taken its next breath. The apartment was a tomb. Dusty, dark, and long forgotten. Amelia hadn't stepped foot inside in 20 years, but every creaking floorboard knew her name. The keys still hung by the door. The air still carried the scent of old paint and regret. She shouldn't have come. But something pulled her here, some desperate hope that the past would offer her a map back to herself. In the closet, behind a stack of ruined boxes, she found it. A battered metal tin, sealed with rusted clasps. Inside were letters. Dozens, no hundreds. Her breath caught, each one addressed the same way. My Amelia. She sat on the floor, numb, as rain tapped against the window. Her fingers trembled as she opened the first envelope. The ink was faded, the handwriting careful, like a man trying to hold his heart steady. I think about the sound your laugh made when you thought no one was listening. They told me you'd disappeared. I prayed that meant free. Even now, I don't hate you. Letter after letter, he didn't rage. He remembered her, protected her, loved her. She hadn't opened a single one. Until now. Near the bottom of the box, she found the final letter, different from the others. No envelope, just a folded page stained with age. They offered me a deal. Your name for my freedom. I chose hell instead. Her chest ached, her eyes blurred. He hadn't just gone to prison for her. He stayed there. For her, and she never even looked back. Amelia found Victor in a forgotten hospice on the edge of the city. A man once sharp, now hollowed by time and guilt. He had been part of the cover-up. A fixer, a ghost maker, and now a dying man with nothing left to lose. He recognized her instantly. I wondered how long before the past caught up, he rasped, motioning her to sit. It always does. She demanded the truth, about Liam, about that night, about what had really been buried. Victor coughed, reaching for a weathered folder beneath his pillow. Inside was a single sheet, yellowed and brittle. 2 names, nothing more. Amelia Dawson, Charles Remington. Her heart froze. That can't be right. Charles didn't know he... Victor gave a bitter chuckle. Didn't he? Your husband was the one who paid me to clean up the scene. The one who told me where to find Liam. Amelia's stomach churned. All these years, Victor wheezed. You thought he saved you by loving you. But no, Amelia. He saved you by controlling you. Tears stung her eyes, but Victor leaned closer, voice low and final. Liam didn't just take the fall. He took the knife out of your back. You just never noticed. She left with the paper clenched in her fist, her world unraveling, strand by strand. Her perfect life had been built not on silence, but on betrayal. Amelia confronted Charles in their penthouse suite, the list clenched in her hand like a blade. He didn't flinch. I protected you, he said calmly, sipping his scotch. You're only alive because I made sure you stayed useful. Useful? She hissed. You knew what I did, and what Liam did, and you let him rot? Charles chuckled, stepping closer. I didn't let him. He chose it. For you. For your child. Amelia staggered. What child? His smile froze. Ah, so you didn't know. Before she could ask more, he leaned in, voice colder than winter. You think Liam stayed quiet for love? Number. He knew the people I was protecting you from, real monsters. He made a deal with the devil, me. She stepped back, shaking. I'm going to the press, she whispered. He laughed. Go ahead, see who they believe, a respected senator, or a woman with blood on her hands and a missing past. Her perfect life had never been hers. It was a cage, golden, gilded, and now cracking. The mansion was silent when Amelia slipped inside Charles's study. The storm outside masked her footsteps. Her hands shook as she searched, through drawers, bookshelves, behind paintings, until her fingers brushed something unusual, a small groove along the bookshelf's edge. She pressed. A soft click. The wall shifted, revealing a narrow passage. Her pulse thundered as she stepped into the hidden room. Cold, dusty. The air smelled like secrets. Shelves lined the walls, files, tapes, locked drawers. Years of surveillance footage. And in the center, a screen. She scrolled through labels. Charity Gala 2012, Amelia, Phone Call 2017, Kitchen Argument 2019. She had been watched. Every move, every silence, every lie. Then she found it. The Night, 2005. Her fingers hovered, then pressed play, static. Darkness. Then the scene unfolded. Young Amelia, crying, the gun in her hand. Liam steps in front of her. Another man charges. Amelia drops the gun. Liam picks it up. He pulls the trigger. He wasn't covering for her. He did it to protect her. Her knees buckled. All this time she thought he went to prison for her crime. But it was his choice, his sacrifice. She had abandoned him for saving her, and Charles had known all along. Amelia followed a trail of prison visitation records to a small coastal town where she found Elena, a young woman who had visited Liam every year without fail. "I thought you were his daughter," Amelia said, watching her carefully. "I'm not," Elena replied, placing a worn journal on the table. "My father was Liam's lawyer. He died a few years ago, but Liam, he was more of a father to me than mine ever was." Amelia opened the journal, her breath catching as she read Liam's words, notes, sketches, fragments of hope. Elena leaned in. He could have been free 10 years ago. The court offered him release, time served, but he said no. "Why?" Amelia whispered. "To protect someone not yet born." Amelia froze. "He said," Elena continued, "that if the truth came out too soon, it would destroy the one good thing that came from all the pain." Amelia's heart raced. Pieces clicked. She remembered the clinic, the sedatives, waking up days after the shooting with no memory of what came after. No one had told her she was pregnant. Liam had known, and he stayed in prison to protect their child. Amelia dug through sealed records, bribed a nurse from the old facility, and finally found the truth. Medical files marked confidential, dated days after the shooting. Pregnancy confirmed. She had been unconscious, sedated, hidden away while Charles arranged everything. The baby, her baby, was taken before she ever opened her eyes. She stared at the faded ultrasound photo. A tiny blur, a life stolen before it began. Liam had known. He let the world condemn him, let Amelia believe he'd sacrificed everything just for her. But he was protecting someone else, too, their daughter. Her name was Claire. 19 now, adopted, studying law at a university upstate. Bright, ambitious, kind, everything Amelia had never dared to dream for her. But Claire didn't know who she was, didn't know Liam was her father, or that her real mother had once left them both behind. Amelia watched from a distance, Claire laughing with friends, her smile so achingly familiar it crushed her. A life built on secrets, a future that could shatter with a single word. Amelia's hands trembled. She hadn't just buried her past, she'd buried her own child. Amelia found him in a dimly lit garage on the outskirts of town, grease on his hands, years carved into his face. But his eyes, those eyes, still held the same fire. "You should have told me," she said, voice cracking. Liam didn't turn. Would it have changed anything? "You gave up everything, your name, your life, your daughter." He finally looked at her. "I gave her a chance, that's all I ever wanted." Amelia stepped closer, her voice trembling. "I saw the tape. I know what you did. I know it wasn't my crime, it was yours." "No," Liam said gently. "It was both of ours. I just made sure you had the chance to walk away." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "And Claire? You never tried to find her?" "I did, every year, but Charles had people watching. If I got too close, he'd bury her in lies. I couldn't risk her getting caught in that fire." He handed her a folder, Photos, notes, surveillance. "They're coming for her now," he said, voice tight. "Charles knows you found out. He'll use her to silence you." Amelia's blood ran cold. They had taken her once. They wouldn't take her again. Claire vanished from campus. No warning, no trace. Amelia's worst fear turned real. Charles had her. Liam was already moving. "We don't have time for fear," he said, loading a duffel bag with tools. "We get her out. Tonight." They drove through the night, following a signal Liam traced from Claire's phone, a remote estate guarded like a fortress, Charles's private compound. Amelia stared through binoculars, heart pounding. Claire was inside, pacing, confused, drugged, scared. She couldn't tell. "I'll go in," Liam said. "You drive." It was like old times, terrifying and electric. Amelia waited by the car, engine running, mind racing through memories and regrets. Minutes passed like hours, then the door burst open. Liam sprinted out with Claire stumbling behind him, barefoot, terrified. Gunfire exploded behind them. Amelia floored the gas. They sped into the night, hearts pounding, Claire screaming, "What is happening? Who are you people?" Silence fell. Then Amelia said through tears, "I'm your mother." Liam met Claire's stunned gaze. "And I'm your father." Claire's world spun, but their hands found hers. Not perfect, not peaceful, but together, for the first time. Amelia turned herself in. It was time. The courtroom buzzed with whispers, reporters packed in every corner. Liam stood beside her, not as a convict, but as her defender. And Claire sat in the front row, fists clenched, her eyes sharp and watching. Charles pulled strings fast. Amelia was thrown in a holding cell before the trial could begin. "You want truth?" he'd sneered. "Truth burns." And it did. During closing arguments, just as Liam began to reveal the buried evidence, boom. An explosion rocked the courthouse. Smoke, chaos, screams. Liam shielded Claire as debris fell. Fire alarms shrieked. Amelia, locked in her cell, could only pray. Until Claire burst in, coughing, covered in ash. "I studied law for this," she said, unlocking the door. "Now, let's finish what he tried to destroy." 3 days later, Claire stood before the court, with the surveillance tapes, Victor's confession, and the journal. She tore through Charles's lies, one by one. The verdict, not guilty, self-defense, framed, freed. The fire hadn't silenced them. It lit the way. The courthouse was quiet now. Ash still clung to its walls, but justice had been spoken inside them for the first time in 20 years. Amelia stepped outside, the same steps she had once walked in fear. But this time she was free, not just from prison, but from the past that had haunted her. And there he was, Liam, waiting in the rain, just like before. She approached slowly, her heels clicking on wet concrete, heart hammering against her ribs. Tears welled in her eyes. "Why didn't you hate me?" she asked, voice barely a whisper. He stepped closer, brushing a soaked strand of hair from her face. "Because I never stopped seeing the girl who cried after telling her first lie, the one who begged for a second chance at life. You didn't mean to become a woman who forgot how to feel. But I never forgot who you were." Her knees gave out. But this time, he caught her. She collapsed into his arms, not from guilt, not from fear, but from something stronger. Forgiveness. Claire joined them moments later, silent, watching. For the first time, their broken pieces formed something whole, a family. A year later, Amelia stood in a quiet field surrounded by wildflowers. 3 stones stood before her, one for the man Liam had killed, one for Victor, and one freshly placed, marked only with a single word. Silence. It was Liam's choice. Not to be buried with honor, not to have his name shouted in courts or carved in gold, just remembered. By them. Claire knelt beside her, placing a photo in the grass. Her graduation, all three of them smiling. The past had left scars, but it had also forged a bond stronger than blood. Amelia now worked with victims of wrongful convictions. Claire had just passed the bar, and every spring when the rains came, Amelia would stand in that garden, close her eyes and remember the man who never gave her name to the world, because he believed she'd one day earn the right to speak it herself. And she had.